So earlier today, I came across a video by Rich Eisen, and he discusses the Cowboys' current situation, what's going on, specifically with lots of these contracts, and he talks with Sports Illustrated reporter Albert Breer, and I really have enjoyed reading his articles at Sports Illustrated for a very long time. He has lots of great insights, and so I want to play this audio and then give my thoughts on exactly what they have to say. And if you guys are new to the channel and you want to see more Cowboys content, Cowboys news, feel free to subscribe down below.
And then the last one for you, what about the Cowboys? I mean, we just referred to the wide receiver market exploding. Justin Jefferson is going to, at some point, sign. You want to talk about making money just sitting on your hands, it's CeeDee Lamb. We all know that even if the Cowboys are taking the approach of Jerry Jones's all-in approach, for everybody, he wants to see more leaves on the tree or whatever he wants to do before he pitches as a halfback, before he hits the out of bounds line, and whatever he's saying in terms of his analogies. We all know that when it comes down to it, CeeDee Lamb and Micah Parsons are going to be paid, have to be paid. There is no way they're going to let both of these guys go, either one of these guys go. Dak's a totally different story, to be honest with you, I think. Right. You know, quarterback, they could go back and get another quarterback somehow. I think Dak's definitely going to stay too, but that's the one that could be an open question. We all know these guys have to be extended somehow, right? I mean, and it's
let me ask you this. Before you jump in on the extension, let me ask you this.
Sure.
Does it make sense to you that maybe the Cowboys are right now with Dak Prescott where the Rams were with Jared Goff in 2020?
Which is essentially what? Like you've
are
hit,
we ever going to get there? They're asking the bigger, are we ever going to get there with this guy question? And I'm not saying like that means offloading him, because the Rams obviously had a golden opportunity come in front of them to get Matthew Stafford, and Jared Goff's still a really good quarterback. We've seen that in Detroit.
Yes.
But can you see where Dallas might right now be with Dak Prescott, where the Rams were with Jared Goff?
Absolutely, and that's why I'm saying I can totally see a future for Dallas without Dak. Certainly, in the way that his contract is laid out right now, he has all the leverage. Yep. So he can figure out what he wants to do, and he's already even publicly saying, "Well, you know what? I want to be here, but you know, if I'm somewhere else, that's he made it seem like he can handle that." We all know CeeDee Lamb's going nowhere.
I tend to agree when it comes to Dak Prescott and the Cowboys. I think that the Cowboys have had Dak for a while now, and while he continues to find incredible success in the regular season, the Cowboys just continue to find ways to mess it up early in the playoffs. And you do just think, like, at what point do you say to yourself, well, clearly the way things are going, it is not leading to the postseason success that the Cowboys want to be having. And at what point do you look at the quarterback and say, well, he's been one of the common themes here in Dallas, and you could argue that before that they were still having other kinds of problems in Dallas, and there's no doubt that throughout the regular season, the Cowboys play so well, they get so hyped up that there's so much expectation going into those playoff games, and so far, Dak seems to not be able to stay at that top-tier level he played at during the regular season in the playoffs. And so even though the Cowboys recently have been saying that they want to keep Dak around and that it's a priority, I'm not so sure that's the case. I doubt they're going to come out and say that they, if their plan was to, let's say, let Dak play out 2024 season, and if a similar result happens, the plan is maybe to move on. They're not going to say that before the season with their quarterback, on the roster. They're not going to cause problems like that. They're going to probably act as if he is a priority, and maybe he is, but the fact that it's taken so long, I'm not so sure.
And we know Micah Parsons is going nowhere, so why not sign him now before the price for both goes through the roof? I don't get.
And that's the one thing that never makes sense to me. Like, I think the Eagles are always really smart with this. Like, if you look at the way the Eagles have attacked these situations over the last few years, when they signed Jalen Hurts, it was at the beginning of the offseason before Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert and Lamar Jackson got their deals, right? And then you see this offseason, what'd they do? They signed Devontae Smith before, the receiver contracts came. And you just see it time and again. The owner keeps the money in his pocket for an extra few months. And what do you know? February and March turns into July and August. Now all of a sudden the price is through the roof. And so we already have them working with Micah Parsons off of what Nick Bosa got last year. So that market already exploded, and is up above 34 million per. And now you got CeeDee Lamb in a market that was at 25 million, could be at 35 or 40 by the time Justin Jefferson signs.
And you're going to keep him. I mean,
Yeah, I'm not sure why the Cowboys have been waiting on that, because if you look at the, two of the newest wide receiver contracts, A.J. Brown at $32 million a year with the Eagles, and then Amon-Ra St. Brown with the Lions, $30 million per year. So already CD's, market just from those two guys coming in goes up, probably plus $2 million. If you look at Tyreek was at 30 before that, so Amon-Ra basically tied him. A.J. Brown jumped him when it came to average per year by $2 million. And then there's the Justin Jefferson potential deal that could come out. And then if that happens, that's going to be, that could be, $34 million a year. And then CD may want to make more than that. So I get why CD Lamb would want to be waiting, because the longer he waits, the more money he's going to get. And so I really do wonder, what are the Cowboys thinking currently? I do wonder that.
Yeah, and it's not like Justin Jefferson's not going to get paid. You know what I mean?
Well, you have to beat the Vikings to that punch.
Right.
You must. You would think. But Jerry has said, he's on his own timetable, and bless him. Who tells him how to do business? He's clearly insanely successful at business. I get it. But I just don't. Will this happen? Do you think before the season? Do you think it happens before the season?
I think they do happen before the season. Okay. But again, the timing of it, whether that happens June 1st or August 15th, that could be a big difference. Based on the contracts we get between now and then. And look, there are a couple of under the radar ones that I think could affect the market at different positions too. Where, could Matthew Stafford ask for more and more guarantees, and with the Rams? Could Christian McCaffrey ask for more with the Niners? I think the market's going to be affected over the next 2-3 months in a lot of different ways. And so, I think whether you do these deals now or later, they're going to have to get done. And like we just said, it's going to cost you money if you wait. I just think part of where they are, the psychology of where the Cowboys are right now, to me is it's about, is this the group that we can win a championship with? And they've taken a bunch of cracks at it with this group. And now you've seen some of the guys that were part of that group, your Leighton Vander Esch's, your Tyron Smiths, that are gone now. And Tony Pollard, Ezekiel Elliott, guys who've been offloaded over the last couple of years. And I do think a part of it is, okay, so what is our core going forward? And how do we want to build that core and reward that core and set ourselves up for the next 5 years? And, I think Mike McCarthy is a part of that equation too. There are assistant coaches there that are going into contract years, so there's just a lot of open questions about where they are in 2025 and beyond. And I think that part of it is probably slowing the negotiations on some of these guys. And like you said, Rich, that's never a good tactic to wait.
I don't think so.
What I mean? It just isn't. Again, people ooh and ah over a lot of the things the Eagles have done right there in the NFC East in their division. A lot of it's just common sense. To me, signing Devontae Smith at the start of the offseason, you knew you wanted to keep him. Just pay him now, and then you won't be paying an extra $5 to $10 million in August for him.
I'm with you.
So if I were the Cowboys right now, honestly, looking at what's happened in the past few seasons, I would just not pay Dak Prescott, let him play out the 2024 season. If he takes you to the Super Bowl or maybe even an NFC championship, at that point you say, okay, we'll pay him. Obviously, at that point, you're paying him a ton of money, but maybe you have more confidence that he can take you all the way. But I think that if you pay him now, you run the risk of having the same thing happen once again, having a really solid regular season and losing out early in the playoffs. And I would imagine that, the Cowboys front office, has to be able to look at the team and say, what the heck is going wrong here? We need to make some kind of change, start something fresh, even if that is somewhat of a risky decision to move on to a new quarterback, because Dak does win you regular season games, and people get excited, people come to the games. There's hype around the Cowboys all year long, and the money's still coming in from a tickets perspective. And if you move on to a new quarterback, whoever that could possibly be, you run the risk of not having a good team in the regular season. If you bring in a QB and he stinks and gets you nowhere, then, you may have a couple bad seasons. Maybe that's a way, though, to reset this team and maybe get a top QB pick and sort of start things over. But it's pretty interesting what's happening right now in Dallas. But that's it for this one. If you want more Cowboys content, feel free to subscribe down below, and I'll see you guys next time.